Welcome to Pause for the Truth, where you can sit back, relax, and hear an honest dialogue about health, wealth, legal, and social issues. The hosts are Dr. Rogers Kane, family practice physician, and Jocelyn Turner, health education consultant, with co hosts from the Northeast Florida Medical Society and its foundation. Stay tuned for the truth about matters affecting you and your family. We're here to tell you what's really going on and why.
Well, hello there, Miss Jocelyn. How you doing?
I am wonderful. It's a beautiful Tuesday in Florida. And, if truth be told, we could be somewhere else where it's really cold.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Or wet. We can be in California and be wet.
Oh, my God. Isn't that awful?
I ain't got a problem being wet. It's just too wet.
Oh, no. The wet it comes with mudslides. And
That's what I mean. Too wet.
It's so sad. So, welcome to Pause for the Truth. Of course, we are so delighted that those of you joined us this week. The past couple of weeks, we've been talking about resolutions. Those things that we make at the beginning of the year. And if we're lucky, we might make it past January 31st. Are there 31 days? There are 31 days in January.
Yes.
I don't know about you all, but I've stopped making resolutions, kinda. I make them loosely. My one resolution this year is to get more organized. And anybody who knows me knows that's a big deal. That if I do that, then I can write the book on resolutions if I accomplish that one this year. Dr. Kane, you missed last week's discussion where we talked about getting fit in 2023. I'm sure that's on your goal. You're at the top of your list, right?
Were you trying to call me fat or something?
No, unfit. If you really want to know, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you trying to call me unfit? As a parent? As a husband? What?
But it was a good discussion. It's just really, I think the main thing from the physical fitness show and the previous week where we talked about financial fitness, the first thing I believe, and Tyrone, you chime in and tell me, you just got to get started. You got to figure out what it is that you want to do, set a small goal and small steps, and work on those steps in small increments. And before you know it, you'll achieve some of the things that you aspire to do. But you have to first write down what you want to do. I was joking with the fitness guy last week and talking about when I went to his predecessor, she had a conversation with me, just like he was saying. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I want to lose weight. Right. And then they want to talk to me about drinking more water and eating more vegetables. How did you do on drinking water? How did you do on eating vegetables? I was like, lady, I want to know how much I get. What's the needle on that scale? But of course, intellectually, I know that if I eat more fresh fruits and vegetables versus processed foods, chips and cookies and stuff, I know the scale will move. So, Tyrone, what was your recollection from last week's discussion on fitness, physical fitness?
I think the same thing rang true from both of the previous shows, is that as a society, we have a tendency to believe that in order to have big success, we have to make big changes. And what each of the guests have said over the previous two shows is to start off small. Create something or do something that is small enough for you to notice and easy enough for you to do consistently, and then you can see change.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I can agree with you, Tyrone, in terms of a small start and just keep moving on. Because it's no different than if we had a 1,000-mile journey that we had to walk or run. You got to do that first step, which is the small. One step is just a small part of 1,000 miles.
Yes.
But you got to do the first step, and then just repeat it in order to be able to get to that 1,000 miles.
Excuse me, boss. By the way, 2 weeks ago, we had the fitness, I mean, the financial guy on, Rico Walker, and he sent me an email, I mean, a text, and I just texted to both of you, so that's why you're both hearing it at the same time. He sent me a text about a workshop that he's doing, classes, managing your money God's way, and that's Mondays at 6:30 for 9 weeks. He started last Monday, so he sent that to me. And really continuing the discussion on what is financial literacy, really trying to help people get started.
Right. So let's make sure we kind of put whatever contact information, registration information that he sent us, that we put it in the chat for people to take a look at, and also that they can come to our website and take a look, and it'll give them further information on that.
Yeah, before the show's over, I'll make sure to post that. So just give me a little time.
No, we know since you came from behind the scenes, that means you're working double duty.
So today, as you can tell from our discussion, we're talking about resolutions. And what we decided to name today's topics is make or break resolutions. What are those make or break resolutions? So, okay, I've been very transparent with my journey, my fitness journey, my weight loss journey, my on and on and on. And so the thing is, though, I can finally say I did reach my goals starting in 2019 as far as my journey, my taking better care of myself, rather than saying I want to lose a certain amount of pounds or I want to get in an outfit. I said I wanted to lead a healthier lifestyle, right? My brother was telling me, Dr. Kane, he went to see his cardiologist, and his cardiologist said that if you eat out on a regular basis, that's a problem.
It is.
It's a recipe for disaster. He didn't say it like that, but I'm sensationalizing it, right? Bottom line, he said, you are better off eating at home because you can control the salt, the fat, and all the other stuff that's in foods. And of course, you have the real option to choose healthier. So I thought that was interesting. And he said, he had to check himself because he likes to go to certain restaurants. He's retired. He likes to go and have lunch or dinner with some other retirees. And when you're retired, what do? You may get together with friends very regularly. However, you have to think of other activities to do other than eating. And that's something that we tend to not do. We tend to want to get together and break bread.
Well, here's another thing that to add on to that, to piggyback onto that. A lot of people eat out because they don't have time to cook and work. And these are some of the topic we're going to get into a little later this year. And that is taking care of your parents. I say parents, but it could be parents or the little ones if you're married and so on and so on. So sometimes convenience wind up being the biggest factor, not because the person is lazy, it's just because there's not enough time in the day.
That's a good point.
For them to manage their jobs and home with a square home cooked meal. And that's one of the things that we probably need to have a discussion on. How can we help facilitate people, assist people in terms of cooking quick, healthy meals? And of course, we have to bring back our dietitian. Maybe she can help us with that.
Well, that's meal prepping. A lot of people do it. You prep, you take one day, maybe it's Saturday or Sunday, and you fix meals that can last for a few days. But I want to get to this list. Tyrone, being the computer guy, sends us this list. And I love the number 10 on the list, Tyrone. Learn something new, right?
Can we put the list up?
How many people decide that their resolution is to learn something new this year? I thought that was a really good option and opportunity. Now, the one thing that I've never learned to do is roller skate. But then again, the thing that I want to do, I was actually exploring this past weekend with my nephew, and that is this year I would like to go zip lining. Now,
zip lining.
The visualization of Jocelyn ziplining, I know. Let's just go ahead and laugh about it. But it is on my bucket list of the new thing that I want to do. But I don't think that that's what this is talking about. When it's talking about learning something new, I'm assuming that it's something you do on a regular basis, right? Is if it's knitting or crocheting or whatever that thing is that you're going to do on a regular basis. What do you think learning something new means as a resolution? What does that mean to you all?
Go ahead, Doc.
Oh, golly, I thought y'all were going to take the same person first. So learning something new, in our fairness, that is something that I have. My aunt, who's like my grandmother, kind of put that to me early on as a child, and that's one of the things when she used to advocate to me and talk to me that anything and everybody can teach you something. Mm-hmm. It's just up to you to be ready to learn it and then use it as you see fit. But they can teach you something. A dog can teach you something, is one of the things that she used to say. So I guess because of my upbringing, I'm always into that learn something new. Now with technology, that's one of those New Year's resolutions that I failed already because I got here and was late. Another part of mine is let's not be late to anything in terms of at meetings and so on, so on, so. So I failed 2 New Year's resolutions already just for this show. By the time people saw me sign in, it looked like I was here on time. But you guys had already had the pre-show meeting, and I just signed in just in the nick of time to make me not look late. Okay.
Awesome.
But my point is this, and I'll leave it alone. And that is, I do believe in learning something new every day. I try to apply that to technology because, these kids, it's second nature to them. Our younger generations, it's second nature to them. It was not to us. We had to go out, and Ms. Turner, when I say we, I know you're not quite my age, but us senior citizens, this senior citizen is used to the old traditional way of doing things. And so when new things come at you, you either said, nope, I don't want to deal with it, or you jump into it to try to learn something new.
To embrace it, yeah. And my thing is, and by the way, Tyrone, before you speak, because I might not remember, I have to get it out. Oh, I'm dating myself, right? The one thing that I did say I want to learn new this year, and I used to do it when I was younger, but I kind of put it off. I want to buy a drill. And instead of waiting for people to come hang stuff, I have paintings and stuff that I want on the walls, and I keep waiting for someone else to do it. I'm like, no, I'm going to buy me a drill, buy a stud finder, and get my own stuff on the wall instead of waiting for other people to do it. So that is the one new thing that I said that I would like to do this year.
Remind me after the show, there's a couple of new ways that they got for you to hang these things and make it real easy for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of new technology out there. And I think when we're talking about learning something new, more so, and from my point of view, it is creating a habit. The idea and the concept of learning something new should be a part of who we are. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a time, obviously we all have different times that we grew up in, but there is some serious overlap. And I grew up in a time where I used to hear older men and women saying, if I have a day and I don't learn anything new, then it was a wasted day. The point that they were trying to get across to me and others, and younger individual, was that it's important to seize each day with the understanding that you don't know everything, that you're open enough to be able to receive new information and therefore have an opportunity to better yourself by knowing something new.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that. And number 9, thank you. Spend more time with the family. And I'm sure you all are already doing that. So that's not a big deal to you or something that, But my thing is, and it's true, and I'm not making it up. I was just telling my mother that we need to go and start traveling and visiting more family instead of waiting for them to come visit us. And we actually have 2 trips planned, so we're on our way to doing this particular resolution. What about you all?
Wait a minute. There's 2 ways to take on that. I got a little bit eager before you asked that question. What about us? But there are 2 ways to look at that. One is spend more time with extended family, which is, a distant family, which is some of what you're talking about, Ms. Term. Mm-hmm. But then you have the others whom, married. The kids may or may not be at home, but they're spending so much time between work and other activities outside the home that, that is a very critical item, a very critical adjustment that they may need to make depending on the age of their kids and the age of their parents and the parents, because what they say, once an adult, twice a child. So what you do for kids in terms of their mentality about feeling needed and wanted and working with them and spending time with them, we do it with our second childhood, i.e. when we get old enough that we become the kids, and our kids start treating us like we're the kids and we don't know any better. We don't know as much as they do, and yada, yada, yada. The last thing is, I was just going to make a joke that number 9 was not relevant a year, the past 2 years before last year, because
you're trying to get away from family.
Some people realize they don't like their family.
Yeah, with that pandemic taught us a whole bunch of things. And one of them is exactly what you just said, Mr. Turner. I don't really like you, so I don't think I want to spend more time with you. I wonder what the divorce rate did after the pandemic.
But I think that's the point that this one makes. Had we, prior to the pandemic, had been taking time and spending time with family, we could have worked out some of those issues that we had to work out in the crunch of the pandemic. I always think it's funny, and one of the things I've always told my kids is that, you know what, the beauty of family is no matter what you do, they still family. The disadvantage of family is no matter what you do, they still family.
They still family. you love them, you just can't leave them.
So when I see this here number 9, what I think about is taking time to look at what are the family members that I have not had an opportunity to even talk on the phone to. The pandemic was good for me in a way that I was able to reconnect with an aunt of mine, my mother's youngest sister. And I knew her better than all my other aunts, but I spent more time with my older aunts as I got older. And so I reached back out to her, and it's just been a joy talking with her. So I think that's what we're talking about here. Looking beyond the everyday. And then the second part is some of us have rushed so fast back into work that we've abandoned family. And the ideal here is there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a work-life balance. Right. And that's where we're going at with this number 9.
Yeah,
that's a great point. And number 8, improve your mental health. That's something that we all can deal with. I tell you what, it's very saddening to pick up I used to say newspaper, but I'll be dating myself again. But to log online or turn the television or radio on and hear about some person that decided that life didn't matter anymore and they took their life. And one unfortunate statistic that's happening now is more African Americans are committing suicide.
And that used to be you hardly ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, that's cute, Tyrone. My New Year's resolution is going to be to quit all my bad habits. But then it occurred to me, no one likes a quitter. I like that. But yeah, I mean, improving our mental health and then recognizing that it's okay to go and talk to a professional because they can help you figure some things out. And sometimes we need a neutral person. Sure, we can go to our pastor, we can go to our physician, or go to a friend. But in some instances, it's better to go to someone who doesn't know you, who won't agree with everything you say. They'll really be an impartial person, and they're a professional who will give you their professional advice. Dr. Kane always laugh about you don't go to your mechanic to make you feel your personal health feel good. So why go to the internet for your medical advice, right? Instead of going to your physician. And so we should look at mental health professionals the same way. We know that it's okay to see a mental health professional, and you don't have to broadcast it on social media. You can do that thing or make that appointment without anybody's knowledge. And when someone say, where are you going? Just, I have an appointment. You don't have to elaborate with anybody if you don't want to share. What are your thoughts on improving your mental health?
Well, I think it is important for everyone to consider their mental health. But here's the thing that is very prevalent in our communities. You know, there's a stigmatism against mental health. And then we are shunned for seeking mental health support. But the facts are overwhelming. The advantages of having a professional talk with you and help you address things from a professional standpoint. One of the things that we go out of our way to do here on Pause for the Truth is to bring professionals in the field of the subject that we're talking about. Both Dr. Kane and Ms. Jocelyn have skill sets that are specific, but the subjects that we talk about are wide and vast. So we seek out professionals because we want our listeners and our viewers to get the best information. You know, I often thought, what would it really be like if you went to see a mental health professional and they told you, hey, everything's okay? Wow, what an affirmation that would be. On the other hand, they told you, well, here's some things that I think you need to address, and here are methods to address them. Oh my goodness, what a brainstorm that could be.
Well, I think one of the things what we have to make sure when when I'm talking to patients, you know, it's a lot of it is about the terminology that we use. If you start saying something about mental health, people sometimes start shutting you out, stop listening, you know, because I ain't crazy. That's the first thing that they want to respond to. And it's like, your mental health doesn't necessarily mean that you're schizophrenic or bipolar or you're crazy or anything. What it may mean is that you've been stressed, whether it's at home, whether it's whether it's at home with family, whether it's at work, in terms of your interaction between your workers, co-workers, the job stress. You know, there are a lot of things that contribute to that umbrella of mental health. And, you know, you may, as the individual may only have specific things that they need to be able to deal with, you know, and even though we put it under the umbrella of mental health, those specifics, we need to deal with them so that we can have a healthy world for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if you're stressed out about that coworker who's, I'm gonna use something that's pretty easy. That coworker who keep hitting on you and flirting with you, especially when it's females. Males don't usually complain too much about it, especially when it's women that keep hitting on you, making you uncomfortable at your job and stressing you out. That is a mental health issue. Okay, I granted it's a job issue, but it's affecting your mental health. You know, if you're worried about you got to make this money, but you got a parent at home that you have to leave at home by themselves, and you're trying to figure out how you can help take care of their health issues, still meet your job issue, all kind of stressful factors that come into play. I see every day with many of my patients. And so handling those stressors okay, things that stress you, handling them does come up under the umbrella of mental health, but getting somebody to help you take care of this, or getting someone to assist you with how to deal with these challenges in life. There's nothing wrong with it, because again, we said with the previous one of our, as we said with number 10, learn something new. So it might be something new that you can learn to help you deal with your stressors and this knucklehead at the job that, we can get fired because he keep hitting on you, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. So I like this cartoon. What exactly is a New Year's resolution? It's a to-do list for the first week of January. That's hilarious. And that's what it's really about. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about make or break resolutions for 2023. Dial in or put a comment in the chat. What's a resolution that you have said you're going to do for years and years and years and have yet to do it? You can call in at 888-669-1280. Share your thoughts about resolutions or anything else or related to the topic, something that maybe you were successful at. And what was your approach to being successful? And if you don't mind being honest, what are some resolutions that you just said, okay, I'm done. It's January 3rd and you're already quitting. So it's a resolution that you broke.
And it may be something for your family members or friends or whomever that you notice, and they can assist others in terms of dealing with it. Maybe comical, so don't call names if you do call in to report to your family and friends.
This is a great point for me to go into the video. And this is considered a motivational video, and it talks in specific about things that we've covered up to this point. So allow me to do that.
Hope. Such a beautiful thing. I love that we want more. I love that we're able to look around and see the opportunity and the possibility. I love that we know we can pick up a pen and change the script, rewrite the ending. That's why the new year is so powerful. Because with it comes hope. It forces us to sit down and think, reflect on the delta between how we're living and how we could be living. And anything that sparks a light in us is worthy of our attention, but also worth examining. Because here's what I want. I want those resolutions and those plans to materialize. I want the new you to start its incredible evolution. I want the journey to begin. But I also want you to understand why we so often miss the mark with this vision for tomorrow. Because the truth is, you will wake up January 1st and everything will, for a moment in time, feel new. As we turn the page, we are refreshed and invigorated. But new has a short lifespan. New eventually gives way to the same realities we've dealt with in the last chapter, the same struggles, the same obstacle. So no, the answer to change is not novelty, it can't be. Let's not latch on to something that will slip through our fingers like grains of sand on the beach. Let's change the way we look at sustainability. Let's take the complex and make it bite-sized. See, there's nothing more discouraging than wanting the moon and realizing every day that although you're climbing and climbing continuously, you have no moon to show for your work, for your ascent. That mentality takes your progress and dresses it up as a loss. It disguises your gain as not good enough. In fact, it makes it easy When life starts suggesting other plans, pointing to old routines, to wave goodbye to that moon and jump right back into the chapter you thought you left. To truly change, it's not to focus on the outcome, but rather on the little steps that make the outcome possible. Your New Year's resolution is not to be the fittest guy or girl at the gym. It's to say yes to the physical activity every day. When you don't want to and when you do, when you're busy and when you're not. It's saying yes every time you're called to duty. Because looking like a model next week is impossible. But saying yes when the world is begging you to say no, now that's doable. Resolutions fail because we resolve to be the hero but omit the hero's journey. Wanting more is beautiful, thinking bigger is incredible, but this year let's remember that those who obtain big things don't think of them as big things, but as little consistent commitments, as showing up and saying yes. Look, life will never change just because the calendar flipped. No, life is going to change because with the refresh button came the yes. The yes every day to one or two small things. And while most drop out, while most eye the discrepancy between where they are and the goal, you'll move forward knowing that the only goal is to not quit. As Eckhart Tolle says, do not be concerned with the fruit of your action, just give attention to the action itself. The fruit will come of its own accord. So no, I don't believe in the new year, new you. But I do believe that if you're serious about change, the current you already has everything it needs. It's just waiting on you to look at the little things differently. To realize that when you're always focused on the finish line, it can do more harm than good. And your results, they will come. But not because you said yes to the finish line. No, it will come because you said yes consistently to each step that brought you there. And that's what's been missing. That's what matters. And that's why this year, this new year, will be the gateway to something spectacular.
Okay, so after being mesmerized by the Aurora Borealis, I think he did make quite a few points that were, that kind of reiterated what Tyrone said earlier, and that is, don't think that just because it takes time and takes effort to get to where you want to be, and you have to kind of learn to accept that you may not do whatever it is that you want to do in the amount of time you want to do it, but as long as you keep your efforts moving forward and trying to accomplish whatever your goal is, then that at the end of the day, you will reach that finish line and be successful at what you wanted to accomplish. You just have to keep plugging at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which leads to the next resolution that was on the list, a great segue, because it was about paying debt, pay down debt. That's a big one that people, it just seems so overwhelming, right? And you listen to the financial experts who will say, start with the credit card that has the highest interest rate.
Yes.
But when people are paying $7 or more for a carton of eggs, they don't see that they have the money to pay down debt, right? And my thing is, do what you can. Things will get better. Next year, you might be able to pay down more debt because eggs may come down to $4 a dozen, right? And so we really just have to, again, as Tyrone said from the very beginning, take small steps. And don't look at the big picture. Just focus on something small, and then that way you will see progress.
Well, the thing is, you look at it goes back and ties into some of the other things we already said. You're learning something new. Learn how to pay down this debt because other people can help teach you how to pay down this debt. One of the things, and I'm just using that as an example, pay down debt. I would give my wife the utmost credit in terms of making sure that we paid off whatever we owed in terms of our mortgages and this, that, and the other over time so that we're technically, literally debt free. So anything that I do at this point is just to put in the, of course, you got to spend for everyday life, cost of living, but I can just add to my treasure chest of, monies to help take care of things that maybe unforeseen issues, down the road, some life-threatening issue that may cost me quite a bit of my savings if that be the case. However, at least it came out of some savings that I had, and I'm able to get it done instead of not having any monies to be able to get it done. So, it all kind of represents a chain reaction in terms of what we need to do to put ourselves in the best position possible to be able to meet life challenges. And as much as I hate to say it in terms of a free, so-called free economy like what we have, all of us will have our life challenges and what we need to do. Steve Jobs was a rich guy, okay? Yep. But it did nothing to cure his pancreatic cancer.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Was there something before he got to that diagnosis of pancreatic cancer or something that might have been able to prevent it? I don't know. But by the same token, I just use that as an example. You try what they say, save for the rainy day. The whole thing we talked about with monies and stuff of that nature. So I just don't see where paying down your debt and getting out of debt, because this is a capitalistic economy and somebody's getting rich. So if somebody else is getting rich, it means somebody getting poor.
Well, and there's another thing. It's not a coincidence that all of these items that we've gone over have a consistent pattern or are linked to one another. All right. One of the things I read as I looked into paying down debt and getting out of debt is that the biggest challenge to people creating debt is not understanding their income. Now, these are things that went over in our financially getting fit. It's amazing how many people don't have an actual budget, and their understanding of how much money they have is all in their head. I have heard from many of people who once sitting down to write down their budget has realized, hey, I have more money than I thought. Where has this money been going? I've just been throwing it away. So when we're talking about number 7, and we're talking about paying down your debt, and each one of these items we've talked about has been taking small steps. Take the small step to write down on a sheet of paper all of your income and all of your expenses, and then see, do you have money to pay down your debt? You will also find there are things that you have on there that, hey, I don't even need this. Why I've been doing this? And then that creates or frees up money for you to do and pay down your debt.
Exactly.
So true.
Human journal number 6. We're going to get to try to be a happy in general. I think we kind of covered that in terms of trying to improve your mental health and so on and so on. So,
well, I don't know. The ideal and the concept of being happy in general means that you have to wake up every day with the ideal, the concept, and the thought that I'm going to be happy. I mean,
that improves my mental health. But go ahead.
Life continues to impose challenges on all of us, no matter how poor or how rich. But the decision to take life and to be happy is one that we all can make. So if you make the decision, one of the guys who worked for me always had an issue with fast food. And he said every time he went to a fast food restaurant that he would get poor service, bad food, or whatever. And I happened to be in the car with him once when he was ordering. And the approach that he had to ordering I asked him, I said, well, this is the reason why you're getting bad food. I said, try the opposite. Approach the ordering with lightheartedness and enthusiasm, and see if you get better service.
Right.
And I was pleased when he came back to me and he said, man, I knew it wasn't going to work. So I'm going to try it just so I can tell you I did it and it didn't work. But then I got my order and it was just what I ordered the way I wanted. And that was a point made.
Sometimes I go there, you said just right. They just want to give you free food. They want to, because that's the best they've been treated. Sometimes people, that's the best I've been treated all day. So they, it's not that I do that to get food. That's how I was taught. That's how I was raised. That, be respectful to people. Don't be disrespectful. You don't even know them. Don't be disrespectful. So, it works for me. I don't mind going. And if they don't care because they haven't had a bad, could be that they had a bad day. They want to piss on me. But okay, fine. That's what you want to do. More power to you. But I ain't gonna let it ruin my day and ruin me.
So well, one thing that I'd like to mention on this one, I was talking to someone the other day without mentioning their name, of course, and they were just saying how either them or their spouse is always with their disabled relative. They can't take a night out. They rarely take a night out as a couple because one of them have to be home with the disabled relatives. Right. And so when we talk about try to be happier in general, that means a lot of different things. Sometimes people don't always have the option, and it'd be nice for people to know what resources are available for them in the community that could lend them a hand, maybe a day center or somewhere where they can take the disabled relative, if you will, or even someone coming in. So I wanted to mention that too, that people really try to find community resources that they can tap into, because if you do not take care of yourself, you cannot take care of someone else.
Anyone else. You cannot
right?
Take care of anyone
So you have to take time for yourself. And I was really taken aback when this person said that to me, that they can't enjoy an evening out with their spouse because one of them have to be home. So there are things sometimes that we take for granted, and as best that we can, when someone says something like that to us, and I'm just reminded of that conversation. I'm gonna, of course, being the person that I am, I'm gonna explore opportunities to see if I can share with that person so that it could potentially, it might be a helping hand to them. And I see we do have a comment: exercise. I am only more successful when I have an exercise partner. And I like when I joined the gym because I didn't know anybody there, and I end up getting a partner at the gym. There are people who've asked me, "Oh, come on, let's go for a walk." That's not my thing. I'm not your girl when it comes to that, right? We can be side by side on a stationary bike and run our miles for days or hours, but I'm not one that takes, people said, "Oh, let's take a long walk and all." No, that would not be me. I'll do it, but it's not something that would be at the top of my list. But some people are motivated when it comes to exercising by having someone else, because you may get up in the morning with all intention and say, "I want to exercise," and change your mind. But then if you have a buddy, that buddy will say, "Okay, you ready?" And it may be a neighbor. I'm getting ready to walk up in your neighborhood. You dress, let's go. It's time to go. So there is some benefit, of course, to having a partner, a buddy to exercise with you. What about the two of you? Do you ever did that ever work for you throughout your life? Or not, even if it's just not exercising, getting a kind of a partner or buddy on anything that kept you on track?
Yeah, most definitely. There is I think it's probably even more so strong within men because the conversation that happens between men that are buddies can be a little bit more candid, a little bit more direct. You include your friends in, and they say it's time to go, and you talking about I don't feel like it, or you liable to really hear it.
You made me get up out of bed.
You made me get up out of bed, and
Right,
now so you gonna get out of that bed if I had to drag you out.
Anything short of N-word, you gonna get up today.
Absolutely. So I think
you made me get up.
I think it's a powerful assistant and motivator when looking to accomplish anything, not just exercise. If you actually want help and support and you reach out to your friends and you ask them to help you be accountable, then your true friends will be there with you. And it's not unusual that a person who's known you for a long time knows how to get you to move. They know what to say to make you move.
Well, I will say I agree with you, Tyrone, 100%. I know, it just depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. In medical school or in pharmacy school, I had studying partners and people who was really about trying to accomplish the mission at hand. They help you accomplish the mission at hand. The same thing with medical school. I ran into the same issues. Same thing with, when we came down to get exercise back in the day when I was able to run 10 miles, at one time. If I particularly had a partner and I wanted to quit at 6 and they running with me and it's like, nah, bro, we finna keep going. Or vice versa. I might be the one to say, nah, let's take this, extra another mile or do this or do that. So having that person, right now I got one of my daughters, they're the cheerleaders, like, Daddy, we got to get you up and get you to exercise and, post illnesses that I've had, we got to get you out there. So every day they want to touch base with me and say, what are you doing today? Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'm saying, okay. And the trick is they're down south and I'm up here, but they are blowing my phone up, trying to make me do the right thing for myself because they know that they feel they don't want to lose me at whatever point in life to something that they could have helped prevent it. So they're jumping right in to help me do the things that I need to do to put me in a better health state.
I'm reminded, Dr. Kane, of something I was telling a dentist some years ago that I don't like floss. And they said to me, oh, it's no problem. Just floss the teeth you want to keep. And
I thought that was so cool.
I mean, and there's really, if you want to, and that's what it's all about, in terms of, just for the next few, losing weight, eating better, working out more, they all help with your overall your journey to be healthier in general and reduce your risk for chronic health conditions. And also, if you've already been diagnosed with a chronic health condition, losing weight, eating better, working out more will improve your life, your health in general, right? Yes. And as I have shared, and I'm speeding it up, by the way, because I am going to treat you the same as I do our other guests. We're nearing the end of our show, right? And so that's why I wanted to just really, combine number 5, 4, 3, and 2.
Right. And I kind of wanted to jump in there because when I looked at those, I said, wow, they are so tightly tied to one another.
There's a lot of overlap.
And then I looked up something and it says, here's a list of New Year's resolutions that we all can keep. That was interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it said, number 1, stop gossiping.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, give 1 compliment a day. Number 3, go a whole day without checking your email.
That's easy for me.
Number 4, do a random act of kindness. And then number 5, it says read a
And I'd like to add a number 6. As someone said to me, when you see someone and you ask them, hey, how are you doing today? Stop and wait to hear their
Oh,
answer.
wait for the answer. Yes.
Because we tend to say it in passing, and that way we really don't care how that person is doing. You know what I mean? And it may help to do what we talked about on number 8, contribute to that person's mental health, right? As a means for them to improve their mental health, or even number 6, for them to be a happier person in general. Now, we spend a lot of time on number 1, saving money. Saving money may seem like something that people who have a lot of income can do. However, the financial analysts or planners will say all of us can save money, even if it's $1 a week, right? Or 50 cents a week. You just have to, as Tyrone mentioned, the conversation where he had with someone, when you really sit down and take a look at how much money you bring in and what you use that money on, you can cut back on something. I tell you what, I'm not judging, but I pass by some of these hair supply stores
Mm.
and I am just in awe at the volume of hair that comes out of those shops, right? I'm not knocking anybody who buy it, but all I could think is if it costs $80 or more for that hair, how lovely it would be for that person to take a portion of every time they buy hair and put it aside in a piggy bank or in a bank account and save some money and maybe one day open up their own hair supply store.
And let me give
I'm
you
gonna
one
let
better.
me comment on that one because the hair supply hit me. Boy, they seem to be popping up like liquor stores and churches.
Yep. And that's because, a lot of people patronize them and use them, not just for buying hair, for other hair care products or other beauty products in general. Again, I'm not judging, but I just often think that, and I've had conversations with people that many of those businesses are in urban communities and they don't put anything back in the community. If you ask them to sponsor an event or a little league team or something, they don't do it,
They ain't
right?
got the money.
They don't have the money. And so, we really need to think about where we spend our money on people who appreciate us as customers. And I'm not just talking about Black people, I'm talking about in general.
In general.
Spend your money where people appreciate your
Right,
business,
right.
right? So
I don't have to pay.
Dr. Kane, the next time I ask you to, and you're not my doctor, but if you were my doctor, I would, as your client or customer, I would say, okay, when I come selling some cookies or candy, you got to buy me some because I'm your client, as your
I
patient.
buy from you before I buy from anybody else. Should be
Right.
it.
You know what I'm saying? We have to think of it that way. I'm a client of Tyrone behind the scenes guy as he is my technology guy. So if I'm selling some cookies, we need to reciprocate with one
Right,
another,
right.
right? And
What
give each other grace when we mess up,
the
because
one
that's the other
thing
thing
the
that
one
we
thing
don't do.
I have to advocate and I have to say, when it comes down to spending where you spend your money and how people treat you and or mistreat you, whichever way it be, I don't need to pay you to kiss your ass. Excuse my language. But I do not need to pay you to
Bleep.
kiss your ass.
Hold on, did we forget to bleep?
I think we got adults on this pause for the truth. There's no way I'm going to do that. So if you can't respect me and respect the fact that I'm paying you to get to utilize your business, and you want to treat me like a nobody or whatever it might be, then I don't really need you. I can go find somebody else to take care of the task at hand. If you're that bad, or you at that point that you're the only person that can do that job, then I might be stuck. But when I ain't stuck and I can find somebody to do the job, and you want me to pay you so that you can treat me badly as a customer, no, I'm gone. See you.
So
Not.
this is as I bleep Dr. Kane. This is the part of the show where I always say to our guests, we're nearing the end of the show. We always like to give our guests, in this case, us, the opportunity to share our final thoughts as we end tonight's topic of make or break resolutions in 2023. Tyrone, what are your final thoughts on tonight's topic?
Well, my final thoughts are simply this. In preparation for the show, as we try to do our best to prepare, I looked at a lot of things. And the one thing that continued to reach out to me or that touched me was make a resolution, write it down, create small steps to see the success. It is true that only 80% of all resolutions fail within the first 35, 45 days. What I also found interesting is of that 8 to 10% success rate, the degree that it changed the individual's lives. Make the decision to be in that 8 to 10%. Create a resolution, write it down, make small steps to achieve that success.
Thank you. And Dr. Kane, no
Well,
more bad words. What are your final thoughts? What are your final thoughts for tonight's topic?
I'll turn off Raw and go to. Anyway, here's the bottom line. Me personally, I do not do New Year's resolutions because all year long I keep trying to adjust myself in life to what I need to do all year long. So if the new year starts on February 22nd and I'm doing whatever it is, making some adjustment in my life on February 22nd, then that's my new year there. That's my new resolution. I'm not going to say New Year's. That's just my resolution to do something. And that's the way, I've done for the past many, whatever years, because I'm just kind of trying to reevaluate my life, reevaluate myself almost every day that God sends, so I can try to stay ahead of the game. But that's me, okay? And the only other thing is when it comes down to saving money, and Tyrone, you use the idea behind, somebody used the idea, Johnson, you may have done it, come to think of going to these hair salons and what you see with that and so on and so and so. I got these patients that sometimes they barely have health insurance, or they barely want to pay me for taking care of critical issues in their life, like diabetes or high blood pressure or stuff of that nature. And almost 99.9% of the time as women, they have no problem going out, paying $10,000, $15,000 for plastic surgery to put a new booty on, put a new set of boobs on. You talking about saving money, but you can't take care of your kids' needs for, if you should have went to the PTA and lost a couple of dollars if that be the case at work, but you can pay $15,000 to get a new booty, to get a new set of boobs and so on and so on. So what are your value? I guess what the point I'm trying to get is we need to make sure we have values placed appropriate, period. Yeah. There's a misappropriation of values in terms of where you place them. And I'm not the one to sit back and tell you specifically as an individual that your value is misplaced, but just go back and look at some of the generalities that we see. And if your kid needed a new laptop or whatever, iPad, whatever it might be, to help them in school and to learn so that they can learn some different things, and you missed a couple of hours at work, lose a few dollars, you place that against, I'm going out and get me a $15,000 that I got to pay upfront money for, get me a $15,000 Brazilian butt or whatever, that we get as it relates to breast augmentation, yada, yada, yada. Please make sure as people, that's all I'm trying to say, any person, anybody, as a person or as people, make sure we find where our values truly live, and apply it to what you want to accomplish in life for you and your family.
So thank you, Dr. Kane and Tyrone. My final thoughts for tonight's topic are to just, write down one thing that you want to do for the year and just achieve that. So that is one thing at least. Don't make a 10 list to-do list. Just create just whatever that one thing in particular, like mine is to get more organized, because I know if I get organized in one aspect of my life, other aspects of my lives are also going to be organized. I don't want to leave the show without reminding you, if you have not gotten your COVID vaccine or booster, please make sure that you do so, because if you have not been paying attention to the news, more people are showing up at the hospital and people are still dying of COVID. The availability of walk-in vaccines are becoming few and far between, and vaccines are no longer going to be free in some instances. You're going to have insurance to pay for them. So please, ma'am, please, sir, make sure you go and get your COVID vaccine or booster, because one thing that we don't want is another pandemic. Thank you for joining us tonight, and stay tuned next week as we share some good information that you then can pay it forward and share with someone else. Thank you for tuning in to Pause for the Truth. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.